In February of 2007, a Brazilian fighter with roots in Japan by the name of Lyoto Machida entered the UFC with a perfect 8-0 record. Machida was well versed in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but it was his modified Shotokan karate style that set him apart from the rest of the light heavyweight division.
Eu gosto muito de luta e também eu nasci e fui criado dentro do meio da luta. Minha família é uma família tradicional dentro da luta. Meu pai é um grande mestre de karatê. Isso favoreceu bastante a eu continuar a tradição da minha família.
Porque realmente karatê tipo não é Shotokan, né, nosso, né? Mas pessoa de Shotokan, ninguém luta MMA. Vai karatê Oyama, karatê, né, Kyokushin, karatê não sei o que, né? Tipo aquele pessoa de karatê, mas é diferente com o nosso, porque nossos são distâncias diferentes, bases são diferentes, golpes são diferentes.
After beating the likes of Ultimate Fighter Season 1 runner-up Stephan Bonnar and former UFC middleweight champion Rich Franklin, both by stoppage, Machida earned the biggest victory of his career, a unanimous decision over a much smaller BJ Penn.
He's entering there. Oh, and a jumping stomp by Machida.
Although pundits and hardcore fans marveled at the Brazilian's elusiveness and picture-perfect style, casual fans felt Machida was not as entertaining as some of the division's other fighters, such as Chuck Liddell, Quinton Jackson, or fellow Brazilian Vanderlei Silva. In his next bout, Machida would face dangerous African judoka Ramuteri Sokaju. Machida dominated Sokaju and finished the Team Quest standout by submission in the second round. It was after this fight that casual fans started to rally behind the more aggressive Dragon. In his next fight against former UFC light heavyweight champion Tito Ortiz, Machida established himself as a fan favorite, taking it to the Huntington Beach Bad Boy over the course of 3 rounds to win a unanimous decision. Machida's next 2 performances would be the best and most destructive of his career. He scored back-to-back knockout wins over Thiago Silva and Rashad Evans to become the UFC light heavyweight champion. After dominating the competition and not losing a single round in the process, many felt that no one could defeat the native of Salvador, Brazil. 5 months after taking the title, Machida would be paired with 27-year-old compatriot Mauricio Shogun Rua. Rua made an impact overseas competing for the now-defunct Pride Fighting Championships, winning the prestigious middleweight Grand Prix tournament, becoming recognized as the absolute best 205-pound fighter in the world. At UFC 76, Rua met Ultimate Fighter Season 1 winner Forrest Griffin. Experts expected Rua to obliterate the reality star and skyrocket to the top of the rankings. Instead, Forrest Griffin shocked the MMA world, stopping Shogun by rear naked choke. After rehabbing his knee injury almost a year and a half later, Rua rebounded from the devastating loss with a less than stellar performance against aged wrestler Mark Coleman. At UFC 97, in front of the largest crowd in North American mixed martial arts history, Shogun established himself as an instant superstar by knocking out UFC poster boy Chuck Liddell in the very first round. It was evident to all who had followed Rua's career that the old Shogun was back. More than 2 years after stepping inside the world-famous octagon, it was announced Shogun would face the undefeated Machida for the UFC light heavyweight crown. Over his career, Shogun was always the aggressor, stalking his opponents and imposing his will, which would play right into the hands of the counter-striker Machida, who was heavily favored going into the title clash. Fans witnessed sheer brilliance from both fighters, who were in incredible shape and each implemented their respective game plans. To the surprise of many, it would be Shogun who cracked the confusing Machida code. People watched in amazement as Shogun seemed to do enough over the course of 5 rounds to become the new champion. Then it was announced Lyoto Machida retained his title by unanimous decision.
Going into that fight, I wanted Machida to win. I used to be a huge fan of Shogun when he was in Pride, but I thought he lost a little bit of steam coming into the UFC, and the old Shogun showed up, you know. And after the first round, I was for Machida the whole way, or for Shogun the whole way. And you know, I thought he won the fight, you know, 3 rounds to 2. I thought he won the fight.
From what I saw, and in my opinion, I believe Shogun won that fight, and a lot of people have said the same thing. But for you to beat the champion, who is Lyoto Machida, you've got to go in for it and convince people you won. It's got to be a knockout, submission, or stoppage. But it wasn't. It was a pretty even fight. So because of that, I think the UFC just decided to keep the title on Lyoto since he was already champion. But in my opinion, I still think Shogun won.
Na minha opinião, eu acho que o Shogun ganhou.
Yeah, I thought it was a really tight fight. Really hard to judge because I think nowadays just depends how you see the fight. If you put in the stats, Shogun hit him 4 times more, and he connected way more damage on Lyoto. In the end, Lyoto was really hurt, you know. But the commentators were saying like we have to take the title away, so it was pretty even shot, and I guess they decided to give it to Lyoto.
Na verdade, o Lyoto é cara bom, cara com
Lyoto is a great fighter. I respect him a lot. After the fight, everyone told me I won. No one thought it was a tie or that he had won. I feel happy with my performance and for my team, but obviously I'm not happy with the decision. I take comfort in knowing that my rematch is in May, so until then I'll keep a cool head.
Então isso me deixa mais tranquilo, né?
In May of 2010, Shogun is set to lock horns with Lyoto Machida at the Bell Center in Montreal and feels that both men will be equally prepared.
Não, o Lyoto é cara bom, na verdade.
Lyoto is a good guy and a great fighter. We both fought for over 10 years now, and he won't change much in his game, and neither will I. Our overall styles will likely remain the same. Not much will change from one fight to the next. I'm going to train hard for the next fight. I'll work on a few different techniques, and I'll be looking to surprise him.
Outras técnicas e espero surpreendê-lo.